Hello, good evening, and welcome back to More Grace. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. This is actually our second episode of More Grace. We actually filmed our first one last week, and that was all about worship. But don't worry, you can still watch that. It's on our YouTube channel. Don't go anywhere, because tonight we are talking all about family and church family. And to ask all my burning questions, I'm not only joined by one or two, no, I'm joined by three guests. Tonight I'm joined by the wonderful David Thompson and the lovely Kim and Johnny Holder. Hello.
Good evening.
Let's just check everyone's mic is on this week. We don't want another one of last week. Dad, thank you. Thanks so much for being with us this evening. So, David, I've got a challenge for you just to start us off. So last week you obviously summarised your preach in a minute. Tonight you've got the challenge of doing Joe's preach in a minute, and actually Joe's here, so we need to make sure we get it right.
Yeah, I mean that is tricky. So I better start by saying it was epic, wonderful preach.
Such a great preach.
Yeah. So Joe was talking about how the church is a family, and so this is the second of our series on We Are Grace. We're in Colossians, and so Paul, writing to the Colossians, said, hey, you're a church who didn't just hear the gospel, but you really understood God's grace. And understanding grace makes a difference. And that's what we're looking at through September. So this one was the difference that grace makes to us being a family, a church family. What makes us a family? It's because we are all rooted into Jesus. Yeah. And that's what makes a difference. And we're like a tree. You could use that analogy where you've got all the different branches of the tree, but they all have to be connected to that root system. That's where the life comes from. And so it says in Colossians 2 that we are rooted into Jesus. And, you know, all the branches are different. They're all in different places, but they're all connected in. If a branch starts, to wander off away from the tree, obviously it's going to die. Yeah. So we all stay together as one family, all different, but all united in that one thing. It's Jesus. So grace releases us then to serve one another, to demonstrate love to one another, and the more we do that, the better we get to know Jesus. So we are rooted into Jesus, which enables us to be a family together. And the more we demonstrate that, the more we know Jesus. And so, it's this beautiful kind of cycle then that makes church. How was that?
Yeah, I thought it was good, Joe. Yeah.
It's okay.
So it's actually that time again where we want you to send in your photos, just like last week. But this week we want them to be photos that make you think of family in a happy way, preferably. So this could be photos of your family, but it could also be church family, an object, food, anything. The weirder the better. We want to see it. So pick what you fancy. But we've got some examples from Kim and Johnny. Do you want to show what you've picked?
I took on board the whole weirder the better.
Yeah, brilliant.
So,
we love that.
Where am I pointing this camera? Here. So this is a lovely takeaway meal.
That was my pizza.
And that was mine.
What toppings did you choose?
Texas barbecue all the time.
Yeah, Texas barbecue. I can't remember what I had. I can't even work out from the toppings.
Something meaty, probably.
But you might be going, why has a takeaway made you think of that? So it's to do with when we have a meal together as a family, we love to just share our highs and lows together. And it's that idea of just sharing everything we've got, sharing food. So I felt that
Yeah, I like that.
However weird it is.
Yeah, I like that.
I was going to do food, but I didn't. I actually knew that he would probably choose food. Anyway, I chose this lovely picture. I didn't ask for permission to show the picture, but here it is. Obviously, I love my family, but...
Nella's looking quite grown up in that one.
Nella's not in this
one.
No,
okay.
me and Jim.
Sorry, very slow on that one. Anyway, Nella's not in this, even though we love Nella. But this picture just reminds me of how we love people the church enables us to love people who aren't family, blood by blood. and they become your family, and you love them as family. And I just thought that would be a lovely photo to share. My girls
I love it.
that person anyway, very much. So yeah.
Thank you. So yes, if you could send in your photos to info@gracechurchtogether.org.uk. Yes, got it right. Or send equally, text the number on the screen. I don't know that off by heart, sorry. And yeah, if you could send those in 20 minutes, and we would like to show them just like we've shown these. Brilliant. So I'm just going to dive straight into it.
Okay.
So on Sunday, Joe talked about race and diversity in the church. What are we doing about that?
Okay.
Sorry.
So no, it's good. So the issue of racial diversity and inclusivity it's as important as it ever has been. And you sort of get that sense where maybe it's kind of got out the media a bit and the news cycle moves on, but actually it's just as important. And so I want to keep the conversation going, and I think we'll find ways of doing that actually as much as we can. I'm sure there's more that we can do as a church to celebrate diversity, to maybe improve in some ways where maybe we're not being as inclusive as we can, and also all along to be totally confident in the unity that we have in the gospel. So yeah, we're not looking for uniformity. We're not looking for everybody to be the same, but there is a real unity that exists in the church that is like no other.
Yeah, definitely. Well, brilliant answer. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, I love the fact that there is so much diversity in our church, and obviously we welcome more of it. But yeah, it's great to learn about, different people's cultures, and even going to India and that opportunity to do that was amazing. But, I could digress. I could talk about that forever. So what makes Grace Church a family?
Well, I probably would say it is that vast array of people, isn't it? It's the different cultures coming into one place, but like Joe was saying on Sunday, and like David just mentioned, we're rooted in Jesus. We are all based around Jesus. And I love that. I love that we do that, and it sort of links to my picture actually, where I said about sharing our highs and lows. That's what we are as a church. We share our highs and lows. It might be daily, we might do it weekly, we might do it in our life groups, but it's just sharing of life together. And yeah, I just love that within our church.
I love the fact, that within the church you can get like business executives sat next to, I don't know, single mum on benefits, say, and they're just friends, and they're benefiting from one another and sharing life together. It's like you don't get that anywhere else.
Yeah, a real mix of all sorts of people, different backgrounds, different academic backgrounds, different cultures. I love it. Yeah.
So with our church and family, and talking about family, we also have life groups. And how important are life groups, in terms of, family and meeting together?
I mean, absolutely vital. Even before lockdown, life groups were super important, and I think all the more so now. There's loads of studies that have been done looking at what's the difference between a healthy church and a church that is less healthy, and they all say that to be a healthy, thriving church, that small group setting is just vitally important. There's something about not just being in the crowd of a Sunday morning, not just sort of meeting one-on-one, although both those things are good, but that kind of middle group size is just really important actually for our well-being. But bring it into lockdown and all that when we're not meeting, and what we haven't got is that kind of conversation that you can have over tea and coffee at the end of the morning. So without that, well, how much more important are those connections that life groups bring? So very important.
Very important. I mean, I've experienced life groups. I love life group. But if I was a complete stranger or someone visiting Grace Church, how would you describe what they are like at Grace Church? You know, most churches have their own home groups. What is it like at Grace Church? How are we unique, I guess?
I guess the most important thing is that they're fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Got to have a bit of food.
yeah, you've got to have
Got
a bit of food.
food.
Food, I think universally people relax over food.
Yeah.
And there's part of it being kind of a fun thing and you look forward to. I think there's so much in life that's not fun. Let's not have anything to do with church in that column. Let's put it in the fun column, you know, and that's just a place we want to be.
Yeah.
So I think whatever we're doing in our life groups, let's make it a place we want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And meeting over food is really important.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's 3 F's. What's the other one?
It's
Fun.
fellowship.
Fellowship.
So like,
Just
I know the
before you
F's.
say, I was about to say about food though. I think that's where the best conversations come out
Yeah.
of when people are eating. I feel like people just relax so much more when there's a meal in front of you, whether that's pudding or tea or coffee, biscuits or a nice hearty main meal that someone's cooked.
And I feel like you get to know people like
Yeah.
better because obviously sometimes you're like, oh wow, you can cook. Like that was a good meal, and like it gives people that opportunity to be like, oh, and you know, being able to cook for people that might
Yeah.
be someone's like, oh, that's
Yeah.
brings me so much joy to be able to host and
Yeah.
Yeah,
do
it's
that.
that sharing of life together, isn't it? The food just allows us to do that even more, doesn't
Yeah.
it? And it's not all just about food, though.
It's very important though.
very important.
So
you
the
love food.
fellowship is about it being real friendships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's something even more than just mates hanging out because it's friendships built around Jesus, and it's the most natural thing in the world to be talking about life and then actually bring biblical truth into that, or say, so what are you believing God for, or can we pray about
Yeah.
that? And it takes friendship, which is brilliant, but up to like a whole nother level because
Yeah.
it's around
Yeah.
it's around Jesus.
And where
Great.
diversity comes into that is that because life groups are such a mix of ages, not just people, like we were saying earlier, that, you know, some of my friendships, you know, I spend time with people in their 70s and having a coffee, you know, with someone who's in a different generation to me. And that's just, I don't think you get that really anywhere else.
And the enjoyment there as well.
Oh, definitely.
Can't you? You enjoy doing that.
Yeah, and with like the different types of people, obviously you have people who are like might be a bit more creative. So to be like, oh, let's do, you know, an Indian night. Let's like mix it up. Let's
Yeah.
do like game. Like I guess there's just
Yeah.
like that versatility there. So speaking of life groups, how are they working this term with everything that's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's like last week we were sort of trying to get our heads around guidelines
Yeah.
and
Constantly
we're
changing.
about to try and do that again now. So where are we with life groups? I think over the summer, some groups, you know, were able to meet and start meeting, particularly in an outdoors setting, and that was great. I think with this new rule of 6 thing,
Yeah.
it kind of means that I think it's very hard to see how a life group can meet all together in person, except we'll talk about it in Mo. But I think what we can do, though, with this rule of 6 is keep meeting with each other.
Yeah.
I think that's just really important. So it
Definitely.
may not be the whole life group meeting, but everybody can meet with somebody. And I just think
Yeah.
it's really important that through this term we do that as much as we feel comfortable doing that, that is something that we press into. So, and in some ways, these new rules kind of open up an opportunity there that didn't exist
Yeah,
before.
100%.
Because it was only 2 households meeting indoors. Now you could get a couple of people from your life group round.
Yeah.
And so I would just, you know, say to everybody, I guess, don't necessarily wait for your life group leader to work all this out. You know, we can all be doing this. We can all just be making sure that everybody is connected in and looked out for. Then I think mostly when the life group comes together, it will be on Zoom. And I think we've just got to embrace that for this term. And I mean, we're going to try and find
Zoom.
ways. Yeah, we all love Zoom. We're trying to find ways of resourcing that, I think, so it's a known quantity and we just help, groups to meet on Zoom. But that's where the group
Yeah.
will be mostly.
And before you mentioned something about meeting at Grace Church, like how will that...
Meeting in the Grace
Yeah,
Centre.
meeting in the Grace Centre.
Yeah,
Yeah, not Grace
I-
Church Centre.
Yeah. Yes, I did. And I think that is still a viable option.
Okay.
I think that is something I'd want groups to consider. I mean, a few people have asked, so are we allowed to meet with our life group in the Grace Centre? The bottom line is yes. There's a line in the guidelines, and when you read it, I mean, I'll read it to you. It says, you should not attend a place of worship in a group of more than 6.
Okay.
And the thing is, when we hear group, we think, oh, life group. So we can't have a life group more than 6. But that's not actually what it's saying. What it's saying is that you can't come to the event in a group of more than 6. If you imagine it's like a restaurant, yeah? So it's saying if a restaurant, you can't have a table for more than 6
Yeah.
people, but you can have more than 6 people in the restaurant as a whole, all
I
eating together.
see, yeah.
So we can have more people come to a place of worship, for an act of worship. And the question then is, does a life group evening constitute an act of worship? And helpfully, that has been clarified, and things like a prayer meeting or a Bible study, they are included in what is
Brilliant.
act of worship. So there is a responsibility on us to make sure that we are doing this safely, and that's what we need to do. So we do risk assessments, cleaning regime. We'll be wearing face masks. We'll make sure that we are on the rules.
Yeah.
And that's how we can make it safe and
Amazing.
that's how we can make it work. So.
Brilliant. I love that. So changing the subject a little bit, Johnny, this month has been a big change for you. You've joined the Grace Church staff team. What has that transition been like, going from, being a teacher in a school to being a lead
I'll take
elder
Dave's
in-
response as a positive
Woo!
for me. That,
They enjoy having
I'm
you
that
here.
good a worker. So in comparison to teaching, it's much quieter.
I can
I've
imagine.
never worked in an office. That's not what I've done. But I also don't have screaming kids running around me all the time. So it is definitely much, much quieter. But I just feel that at the moment it's the right time for our church. It is a massive blessing. So take me out of the equation and say, oh, someone else. Actually, this is a particularly good time for our church. The Bognor site is
Whoop, whoop, Bognor.
it's good for it's good for Bognor site. It's good to have someone there who what's the phrase? Hands on the ground.
Hands on the tiller?
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 Either way,
I've never heard that.
Never heard of that one. No.
I don't know what phrase I'm coming up with, so don't worry.
Hands on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll stick with that one.
So the person who's in the place where
Yeah.
where the church needs leading, and the privilege is I get to do that. I get to be that person, and I'm loving that every day I come to work, and I'm able to serve God's church, and that's a massive blessing for me, and hopefully that's a blessing for Grace Church and
Yeah, no, definitely.
and Bognor.
Definitely. And Kim, how's this been for you? And does it make a difference to you and the family?
Oh, 100%. I think it adds challenges and definitely takes away challenges. For example, with Johnny being a teacher, he was never able to make any kind of special events for the children, Christmas.
I did
nati-
I was at Christmas.
Oh, no.
I did attend Christmas Day.
As in like school events.
School events, yeah,
Just
yeah.
clarify that. School events.
He wasn't there for
He wasn't
Christmas.
there for Christmas. No, sorry. Nativities,
Yeah.
first day, and things that mean a lot to the children. So this week he was able to take Sephora to her first day
Yeah,
of
that's
school, which meant the world to her, and was just so special that he got to participate in that.
Yeah.
Because for the last 6 years of Mimi's life, he's never been able to do any of that. He's always left before we've all even woken up,
Yeah.
and got back when there's probably about half an hour before their bedtime.
If that.
So, yeah, if that, as much as obviously he loved teaching. So that's obviously so lovely for our children, a definite benefit for our family. But, it does add challenges. I've got to be honest about that. When Johnny was a teacher, that was his professional job. I didn't really have a say in that. He'd come home and share things, and I'd just nod and go, that was lovely, wow, great. I didn't really have anything really to add. I didn't really, I didn't really care.
Patronising. Oh, lovely. So pleased for you.
But you know what I mean? I wasn't there, so
Yeah.
I don't really know who he's talking about. I don't know who he works with really. And so that was his professional job, and church was our personal, our shared love of the church and everyone in it. And so now it's that blend of Johnny's professional and personal now being
Yes.
church, which is also my personal. So it's a challenge. It's gonna be something we're gonna have to work through. I was thinking even the other day that if we ever went on a date night, our topic of conversations are normally work, church, children. Normally the kind of three things that we'll probably talk, kind of share mostly,
Yeah.
because they're the things we love the most. And I think that'll be a discipline for us, that when we spend time together, that we don't always talk about church and his work. And, there's some things that we just, we don't need to talk about. And that, just kind of being more disciplined and leaving work as work, sometimes like you would as a teacher. When you're through the door, work is work. And then let's move on to something
next
else. Yeah, so, but I'm just excited that he is doing what God has called him to do. For as long as I've been with Johnny, he's talked about eldership being something that God has spoken to him about, and certainly working for the church for the last couple of years. Never did we ever think it would be Grace Church, really, and that's probably out of I don't really, maybe I guess just not really knowing the future,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And so this is just so exciting because we love this church. We don't want to go anywhere else. And so it's just exciting to watch my husband work for the church
Yeah.
that we love so much.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so glad, and I'm very happy. I'm sure the rest of church are
I
very
don't
happy. Okay, so I'm going to ask a bit of a blunt question that I'm sure many people are wanting to ask. When the nation is facing such financial uncertainty, is it a good time to be increasing the staff team? Yes, I said it. Is it a good time?
Okay. I mean, that's me. Is it you want
Yeah,
to answer
yeah.
that? Okay.
Asking you, David.
Give us
I mean-
the answers.
Sorry to call you out.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I think it's. I mean, the bottom line is, I'm so excited. It's definitely the right time.
Yeah.
It's certainly a faith step, because these things always are.
When is it not walking?
I know, anything to do with church, basically. So anything to do with church that touches on finances and what we're doing together, it is a faith step, but it's not a reckless step. And it's one that we've really carefully considered. So a few things would factor into it. One is that the church finances at the moment are okay. God is good. He's providing for what we need, and we give God thanks for that. I think also when you look at the process that's led up to Johnny joining the staff team, I mean, it started back this time last year, really, when we were really talking about it seriously, praying into it, talking about it as elders and then as trustees, and you get to the point saying, yes, we believe it's right, and that was back at the start of the year. And then Johnny handed in his notice with the school. I mean, that's quite a big step. I can remember doing that. I can remember handing in my notice to my engineering firm that I worked for, and it is a big gulp moment. And so that was something that happened back towards the start. Then we brought it to the church, and we had our special offering, and people just gave so wonderfully into it. And part of that
Amazing.
was for Johnny's salary, and so that's been
God.
great. And then COVID-19 happens
Yeah.
and lockdown, at that point. But, you know, I've just found over the years that God gives you the information you need
Yes.
to make the decision at the time you need to make it.
Yeah.
And so we are just so in faith for Johnny and Kim, the family, but also for us as a church and what this means. It's so important we don't, any of us, get into a position of fear.
Yeah.
Because we could always kind of lock ourselves down. It doesn't mean we're reckless.
Yeah.
And as a church, there are some things that we have pressed pause on, like some of the work on the Grace Centre here. We just say, well, let's not just do that right now. Let's wait and see. But we don't want to be like the man who had that single talent and just buried it in the ground because he was afraid. Let's not be like that. Let's hear God. Let's press on in faith together. And I think that's what we're doing, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited, definitely. And like, obviously, on the topic of finances, like normally, I guess with Vision Focus and everything, we were so open with the churches of what's going on. Like, are we going to have something like that?
Yeah, I do want to put people fully in the picture in
Yeah.
terms of church finances. It's good, and it's also a faith journey, and you know, I'm sure there are challenges up ahead. So yes, I do want to communicate all that.
Cool.
It's just finding the best way to do it.
Yeah.
I think maybe, you know, we'll produce something for everybody, but I do want to get that information out there, and also I just want to say at every opportunity how grateful I am for every person who stands with us financially. It makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, 100%. So, on the topic of family, which we've been discussing this whole evening, something that's really important to Grace Church is Little Bears. And so, Kim, can you tell us anything about the plans for Little Bears for Bognor, Chichester, Midhurst?
Yeah, so I guess Little Bears, as I'm sure hopefully most people know, is our church-run toddler group.
Which is amazing. I've been there, it's great.
Little Bears is fantastic, and it's just a great place to meet people in the community, for sure, and build those relationships. As I'm sure people are aware, or maybe not aware, but Little Bears can't run at the moment, which is really disappointing, especially when you've built such good relationships with people, and they're often built on the fact that you're seeing them week in, week out. And some of those families are so faithful to come in every single Thursday, rain or shine, they're there. And then so when lockdown happened, obviously, I think there were moments of, well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
What do I do with Little Bears? And I know across the sites, I know Catherine, who runs Midhurst, and Lizzie Peel, who runs the Chichester, we all kind of thought the same. What do we do now with Little Bears? So yeah, it's really disappointing we can't meet. The government guidelines just don't make that possible. And we will go with the flow with that. So I can only speak for Bognor, and we're going to continue with online Little Bears.
Yep.
So over lockdown, we did a Facebook post every week.
Which was
of-
amazing. I loved it, like watching the
With
stories.
my
It's
children.
great.
What you didn't realise is 5 minutes before, you could have a lollipop if you do the Little Bears video.
I love it.
There you go, a little bit of insight there, people, behind the scenes. So craft, story time, and song time. But for Bognor, we're going to do like a weekly story time. And some of the team are going to basically just record themselves reading a story, and then we'll post that up every week. And then
Brilliant.
families can just tune in and watch it. And even if they don't sit with their children, our faces are popping up on Facebook. It's kind of letting people know we're still here, we still care about you, we still think about you, we're still praying for you. And I know, with Chichester, they built such a momentum with this, being able to meet here in this building, having, 50 families a week here. And I know from David, I'm popped in and out, and the other elders who work here.
Probably heard it.
Probably heard the noise, but, would say that it was buzzing here. It was just so exciting. And then again, over in Midhurst, Catherine started Little Bears in Midhurst just after Christmas and only had 9 weeks of that and was just kind of getting going, just starting to meet people. And then, lockdown happened. And even in Bognor, we were just starting to talk about Alpha. We had about 15 families really interested in wanting to do Alpha. And then lockdown was kind of put on pause. So we're having to do things differently. I think, above all, we are just keen to get going again.
Yeah.
We're eager, across all the sites, Chichester Bears, Bognor and Midhurst Bears, we're just keen to get back together again and get the families, you know, in the building and mingling with them, chatting with them. You know, people loved it.
Yeah, no, they did.
And I know I'm not just saying that because I think they think that. I know they think that. I know the families love Little Bears and the family feel that is created there. So just be excited. And so we leave it with God. That's that's all we can do. God knows it.
Well,
So-
you guys are doing such an amazing job, and yeah, it is a real blessing. And Little Bears isn't going anywhere, so
No way.
That's the important thing. Right, we've got some photos in. It's that time to reveal the photos. So the first photo we have got is from Nay, and this is a photo of her with. We're not going to actually mention who's in the photo because you know, but I love it. I often go for a walk with my brother and sister, and we love it. They always want to go to the park, and it's always when I'm in from work and I'm tired, but hey ho, family is important. Right, the next one we have is from Ashley. I love that. Mealtime.
Looks like a life group.
Yeah, it does.
Is that a life
Life group, yeah, plugging life group people. I love it. Next one we have, the last one is from Luke. Having a laugh. I love it. We all love a laugh. Who doesn't like laughing? It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
That's
So
a good
thank
one. That
you
is a good one. I
guys
like
for
that
the photos. I love that. Thank you guys for sending them in. Right, we've got time for a few more questions. Why not? So what else helps us to be a church family?
So kind of in summary, I suppose.
Yeah, in summary.
I think really it's, because we can talk about what we're doing as a church.
Yeah.
But when I look across Grace Church, what makes us a church family, it's just each individual person having that sense of generosity of spirit and reaching out to others, putting other people first. That's what makes us a family. You know, it's the fact that right across the church, people demonstrate that love of Jesus and put others first. So I think for me, that's the main thing. Yeah, we can talk programs and events and things and systems, but really,
The heart.
it just comes down to the heart.
Yeah, it's the in loving the people. We also are showing them hospitality. We've got our adopt a student as well.
Yes.
Are you part of that?
I mean, yes, I am. I am a part of the WhatsApp group.
Did you just
yes,
ask
I
Georgia
love
a question?
WhatsApp.
Her on the
yeah,
spot.
I got a question in.
And they're actually doing like pizza as well if you sign up, just so you know, students out there. Sign up.
So we're doing it for new and existing students, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's just a great way of just getting them part
No,
of
it
your
is really
family, and just meeting up with people, and you can do it by watching church on a Sunday morning,
Yeah.
or you can adopt them.
And who doesn't
Adopt
like
a
pizza?
student.
Who
Everything it
doesn't
says on the
like
tin.
pizza? If you don't, then you're weird. But anyway,
So
yeah.
we show hospitality to students and hospitality across the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Joe dissed my slogan on Sunday.
Did he really?
Because I try really hard. You know, like for the eating out in restaurants, it was eat out to help out.
Yep.
And I was trying to think of a slogan which would work for this concept of
Yeah.
not just watching a Grace Church YouTube stream by yourself, but actually inviting some other people around, say on a Sunday morning, and kind of sharing that together. Or
Yeah.
maybe it's this thing, you know, get some people round. Obviously, not more than 6 total in the house and all of
Yeah.
that, but why not get people round, and if it's a prayer meeting on Sunday morning, do that. And I think meet in to praise him is good.
Leave your comments below, okay? Leave
Say it
your
again.
comments
Say
below.
it again.
Meet in to praise him.
Meet him.
So it's not
Meet
eat out
in
to help
to
out,
praise
it's
him.
meet
Yeah.
in to praise him.
It's good.
We'll leave it up to you guys.
Yeah. Always
Okay,
encouraging.
Finishing up, if you could say one thing to the people of Grace Church, what would it be?
One thing, I
Yeah.
think it would be that I really love this church, and
I like
When
it too. I love
I-
it, love it.
when I think about that, I'm thinking about, you know, not the church office and the program, I'm thinking about the people.
Yeah.
And so I would just want to say to people, hang in there. there's much about this that is a case of gritting our teeth and getting through this season of
Yeah.
not meeting, but we will meet again.
Yes.
And you know what, I
We
am
will.
really confident that when we do, we will find that we have grown in so many ways,
Oh,
that we have become
massively.
stronger, that God has been at work amongst us.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be a serious celebration.
it's going to be that.
It's going to be good. Well, I can't quite believe that we've come to the end, but we have. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you check out episode 1, all about worship. And also, we do actually have a few tickets left for our event this weekend for Saturday and Sunday, so make sure you get them before they go.
What's that called?
It's called
Come
and worship. Come and worship. Come and worship. That's what it's called. It's on the screen. Make sure you book your tickets. Thank you guys so much for joining me this evening.
Great.
It has been a pleasure.
Loved it.
Make sure you also tune in on Sunday at 10 a.m. for our worship, our preach, our kids' work, our Sunday morning. You know, you could just subscribe and then you'll be up to date with everything that's going on. Just saying, subscribe. It will help us out. And yeah, I'm going to go now. Have a blessed week, everyone, and I will see you next week at 7:30. Bye.